On this week's show, we are talking Spider-Man 4 news, Spider-Man Beyond the what? Spider-Verse news?
Yeah.
Good start to the live stream. Coming from CinemaCon, we're talking the Blade reboot potentially being cancelled, and we're talking episode 7 of Daredevil Born Again. We normally do a cold open. You know I'm Nick, you know he's Ant. We're live streaming this week.
Yeah,
Kind
hello.
of to a select few of you. Everybody else can watch it later on if you want. If you want to, if it looks any good, if we put this out and we take it off the unlisted. But yeah, thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching live. We do, because it's the first live stream that we're doing as Heroes and Hype, we've got a special guest. So friend of the show, we're going to call him friend of the show because he's a friend of the show.
Yeah.
Richard Nebens from the Direct. Look at that. Now, he should have just popped into the screen, but I'm not entirely convinced he has.
It looks like I did it on my end, so.
Hopefully. Otherwise, people who are listening are just going to be sitting there thinking, why are they just talking to some absolute rando? Who's not even on the screen. Thanks for joining us, Richard. With the listeners, we've done all the niceties, the hello and stuff like that. But for anybody who doesn't know you, Richard, just give us a bit of tell us about you, where you're from, what you do, all that sort of stuff, and how you're going to help us with our first live stream.
Well, thank you guys again so much for having me. It's good to be back, and I'm glad it wasn't too long since the last time we did this. My name is Richard Nebens. I am the senior writer at thedirect.com. We're a fairly big news outlet. We originally started off, we just did like Marvel, Star Wars, DC, that kind of stuff, but now we cover pretty much everything in the entertainment industry. You can find us at thedirect.com. I'm the senior writer there. I write a pretty good amount of content for the site. And my specialty is Marvel, obviously, but I cover just about a little bit of everything. I've been doing this actually at the site. We just passed 5 years of like having writers at the site, and I've been there the whole time, which has been pretty crazy. But yeah, and hopefully, I'll just add whatever I can to this live stream. I mean, I hopefully know a little bit of something about something. So, either way, we will have a fun time.
I'm relying on you for loads. This is all you, mate. But no, thanks for coming on again. We enjoy having you on. You've been on a couple of times, haven't you? When we were with that superhero thing still, but hopefully it'll be a little bit of a laugh and not too much of a shit show, as we like to say.
Definitely.
Now, Richard, you're probably going to know more about this than us. So again, not that we're like heavily relying on you, but we are a little bit. So first thing we wanted to talk about was, in fact, for anyone watching, listening, as I said, we're going to cover the news. We're going to cover Blade. We're going to cover Spider-Man 4, cover Daredevil as well. And then we'll be doing Pod Fans Assemble at the end. If you are watching live, if you're one of the few people watching live, throw your Pod Fans Assembles messages onto the chat on YouTube. And hopefully, if I can figure it out, we'll read them out. And I might even be able to get them on screen if I can figure out what we're doing. But yeah, first, I want to talk Spider-Man 4. So CinemaCon, obviously, this week. Richard has spent all week, I assume, covering this for the Direct. Big news coming out, though, day after, or for us, was it April Fool's Day?
Yeah.
April Fool's Day for us. Yeah. I don't know if it was still April Fool's Day for you, Richard. But
can I just comment real quickly? What a week to have CinemaCon on April Fool's Day week. I mean, that's just asking for trouble.
There were so many things when I was putting the news together. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And then I was like, clicked on it. Probably not true.
I've literally just seen something.
What?
About Doctor Who.
Okay.
And that was posted on the 1st of April, so I've gone, it's clearly an April Fool's. But they've basically done this whole story about the fact that Doctor Who is actually ending this season.
Yeah.
And Amazon Prime's buying it through MGM.
That's a very detailed April Fool's.
Well, that's what I thought, because it started.
I believe that.
There was like
deep
comments
from
like Russell T Davies. There was like from other writers and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God. And then I saw the date at the top and was like, that's
don't believe
not even remotely true, is it?
The one I saw, which I did
April Fool's Day is the worst day for anybody in this industry because you can't believe anything.
I know.
Exactly.
So when you're doing your articles, do you have to like triple check everything on April Fool's Day just to make sure it's actually correct?
Absolutely. I mean, the biggest reason we know it's true for CinemaCon right now is because we have somebody there reporting everything to us like as it's happening. So that's what, as I'm writing the article, I get up-to-date info. But, we triple check everything.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. Unless somebody at unless the studios at CinemaCon are like playing a prank as well, then you're a bit stuffed then, aren't you? The best one I saw today, and I checked it. I believed it at first, and then I realized it was posted on Twitter like 20 hours ago, and it was Sony are doing a Beetlejuice Ghostbusters crossover. And for
I
like a
saw
good
that
5 seconds, I was like, "Oh my god, this is the best thing ever!" And then I realized it was posted yesterday, and I thought, "Bastards, yeah, devastated." But
Yeah, I saw that too.
Right, let's talk real news from CinemaCon. We'll get in there. We'll get there at some point. This I can't even edit this down because it's live. So the biggie was Spider-Man 4, and the title for Spider-Man 4 being Spider-Man Brand New Day.
I keep going to say Brave New World. I'm just putting it out there.
No, that's a different.
I
film.
know.
I've had to stop myself from doing the same thing. I feel you.
That's more triple checking of the articles to make sure you've written Brave New World on it.
Oh my god.
So this was obviously the big reveal. It gives away a little bit, I think, for comic book fans. Apparently, do you know much about the comic books, Richard? About the Brand New Day storyline?
No, that's one of my weaknesses personally. I've said this for years that I have to do it at some point. I have to get more into the comics. It's like I know the basics obviously, and I know the characters and everything. And I know the movies like forward and backward, but I'm not as familiar with the comic storyline as I should be. But I mean, this whole Brand New Day thing, just from the basics of it. Yeah, I almost said it. No, but this Brand New Day thing, like on a base level, it makes total sense coming off the end of No Way Home, just because this is a totally new Spider-Man in a world that doesn't know he exists.
Definitely.
But I mean, just the idea of Brand New Day, I mean, I love that idea. And I can't wait to see like what kind of comic aspects it actually brings into it, because I think this is going to be a really fun movie.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I don't know the comics massively. We don't really read the comics, do we? We've been told off a couple of times on YouTube comments for clearly not knowing the comics, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So it's for anybody who doesn't know, it's a huge storyline in the comics. It comes off the back of One More Day, which again I don't know full details of, but I know it was a really controversial story. It was basically a reset, similar to what we got at the end of. There's too many Spider-Man movies. No Way Home. Yeah, that's the right one. Yeah. It's a reset like we got off the back of that. It goes back to like a back to basics Spider-Man, because I think in One More Day, Peter had organic web shooters. He was married to MJ. I think Aunt May was dead in the comics at that stage. Harry Osborn was dead in the comics, so it did a reset. So it erased the marriage to MJ, back to basics, mechanical web shooters. Harry Osborn was brought back from the dead. Aunt May was brought back from the dead as well. So I can't necessarily see that part happening. Yeah, but it's going to be interesting to see sort of what comes off it. Yeah. With all the casting rumors off the back of it as well, obviously a lot of people were thinking Harry Osborn and maybe even Norman Osborn might be part of it. Yeah. But I suppose that kind of like opens the door to Harry Osborn potentially coming back into the MCU.
It kind of flushes out the idea. A lot of people were thinking that Spider-Man being straight after Doomsday, kind of in between the two movies. Yeah. People were thinking that this was going to be kind of on Battleworld or something, didn't they? So
they have released this plot synopsis. So it basically says, following the events of Doomsday, Peter Parker is determined to lead a normal life and focus on college, stepping back from his responsibilities as Spider-Man. However, peace is short-lived when a deadly new threat emerges, endangering his friends and forcing Peter to reconsider his promise. With stakes higher than ever, Peter reluctantly returns to his Spider-Man identity and finds himself teaming up with an unlikely ally to protect those he loves.
Oh.
So I don't know. Could be Battleworld. Could be neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Don't know. We'll find out more, obviously. Richard, do you want multiversal Spider-Man, or do you want just friendly neighborhood Spider-Man for brand new day, Brave New World? I nearly said it again.
Yeah. If I had my pick, it would be definitely more of a street level, like New York City based Spider-Man thing. Just, I understand why it's probably going to be a little bit multiversal, just because it's in between. It comes out in between Doomsday and Secret Wars. So, I mean, naturally, that's going to have some ties to it. But also, there's so much going on the street level side of it. I mean, as we're going to get to in some of this Daredevil stuff, this whole anti-vigilante task force thing with Kingpin involved it doesn't give away too much for this week, obviously, but we've seen in past weeks that this thing's really ramping up. I mean, I am just dying to see the day where we get Vincent D'Onofrio and Tom Holland on screen together as Spider-Man and Kingpin. And I mean, this unlikely ally thing that you were mentioning from the synopsis, it could be Daredevil, it could be Toby and Andrew again, it could be whoever Sadie Sink's playing. There are a lot of options depending on like which track this movie goes down, whether it's street level, multiversal, or even both. I mean, I could see I can see them doing kind of both routes at some point in the movie. I mean, it'd have to be a long movie, which I wouldn't mind, but no, I'm excited.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I can see them do it, maybe starting off street level and then bringing it into like a more of a multiversal type thing.
Do you know what I'd be really interested with?
What?
If in Doomsday we did get Toby and Andrew, but no Tom. And at the end of Spider-Man Brand New Day, we'd get one of them two coming to grab Tom to say, "We need you as well."
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That could be interesting.
So it's just a little bit of a different take on what you'd expect to see, because you'd think you'd see Tom front and center, whereas actually, no, it's the other two, and they go, "We know another good Spider-Man that we need to help us fight this."
Yeah.
And they managed to use kind of Wong's ring to come through or something like that. And, I think something like that would actually be really cool. So we'd actually only get Tom in Secret Wars and not in Doomsday.
Yeah, because they might be running literally.
You would think about that?
Yeah.
Thinking about that could be really interesting, actually, especially because like when we got those casting things a couple weeks ago, we got all the old X-Men, like James Marsden, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, and all those guys. And, I mean, Toby and Andrew would obviously fit right into that. But that would be really interesting, seeing like just those guys with no Tom. No, I'm curious because I mean, like, obviously we've only seen about half of this Avengers Doomsday cast. There's no way there's not like dozens of other characters involved. There's no way that's not the only cast that we saw. So I mean, whenever they give it to us, it's going to be great. But we will definitely be looking forward to seeing if Tom's on that list.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and the thing is, it's not that long to wait because it's July next year, July 31st, 2026.
Yeah,
that's not that long.
No.
I've had like some
like filming starting basically right now.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. I saw a picture today where they were taking down the Fantastic Four sets. To do the Doomsday sets today. Yeah. It's just I can't. We said this a couple of weeks ago when we relaunched Heroes and Hype. We did an MCU multiverse ranking.
Yeah,
and we were like, how are we 3 movies away from Doomsday?
Yeah,
how is that it? Because it doesn't feel like we're anywhere near. So to be that,
I actually got a comment on one of my TikToks saying that they're concerned about the fact that it's called Avengers Doomsday. They've said if it was just Doomsday, it'd make more sense. But because we don't technically have an official Avengers team, that's the bit that they're not getting at the minute, because it's like we are very close to the next movie. It's kind of marked as Avengers Doomsday, but we don't have Avengers.
A team of Avengers.
So it's
will at the end of
really,
Thunderbolts.
Really interesting, to be fair.
Yeah, I think we'll have that team at the end of Thunderbolts.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, it's got.
And you do think that that's still why they've got the asterisks at the end?
I'm not convinced it's because that's why the asterisk is at the end, but I do think they are going to be the reluctant Avengers.
Well, I mean, and that's supposed to be the end of Phase 5 is Thunderbolts. That's the last movie in Phase 5. So, like, normally these things end up outside of Black Panther for Phase 4. These things end with a team up movie. So, I've been thinking probably Dark Avengers is what they're going to do for Thunderbolts, but no, I bet they're going to do some kind of tease for Doomsday, especially with Sentry involved in both. I mean, that would shock me if it wasn't some kind of Avengers tease at the end of that.
Definitely. There's going to have to be some massive post-credit scenes now as well. Yeah. Because needs to get moving with those post-credit scenes, because nothing.
Well, we got a little bit of a tease of that from Captain America. I mean, shockingly enough.
Yeah.
I'd actually love to see at the end of either Fantastic Four or Thunderbolts that there is a team lined up that we've had no idea about, and they're all in a room together. And then in the next movie, we get a little flashback of them coming together.
What, like a new team of Avengers?
So we literally get a load of random people that we weren't expecting to be together.
Yeah.
And then we just go, they've done that while we've been watching what else is going on and things like that.
That'd be cool. Things like something like they did at the end of Age of Ultron, like with that new team with like Falcon and Scarlet Witch and Vision and everything. But then maybe go back to what they've been doing, like in the time that we haven't seen them.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, it's like that little setup. I think that'd be brilliant.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Because of the fact that we've sat here going, we've got no Avengers.
Yeah.
And then they've actually gone, well, we've already been working on that for 5 years, but you just haven't seen any of it.
Yeah. Do you know what?
I'd actually be really into that.
As it, As it's you doubted us, and this is what we were.
Especially because they made such a big thing in the first time round where you had Nick Fury going around and collecting them one by one and saying, come and join my team. Yeah. This time they just go, no, we've already done it.
We've done it.
Yeah. They could have Sam doing that after the end of Brave New World.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you could 100%,
totally,
definitely.
Yeah.
The other big Spidey news was, this has been so long coming, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
We've finally got a release date. So it is going to be landing June 4th, 2027, which is over 3 years.
I was going to say, wasn't it originally supposed to be 12 months after the last one?
It was supposed to be May.
It was supposed to be 9 months.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was originally, because Across came out in June of 23, and they were originally supposed to have Beyond. And they were originally supposed to have Beyond come out in March of 24.
That's it, March.
Yeah,
March 2024. Yeah.
Wow.
So we're well over 3 years late. I don't know how it gets to the point where it's that late.
No,
it's nuts. So I don't know whether there were problems in the background. There was some footage shown. It was like teaser footage. Very, very quick, apparently. One of the bits, it was basically like Gwen and Miles meeting back up.
Yeah.
It was Miles fighting Miles Prowler.
Yeah.
Then them teaming up together to fight somebody else. And I think some of the things that have come out, the biggies are Miles is now a fugitive of the whole Spider-Verse. Basically, everybody is after him.
Yeah.
And then the biggie is they've upgraded the animation again.
Yeah.
So when we first got Spider-Verse, it was like, this is completely different to anything we've ever seen.
Yeah.
This is like taking it up to a completely different level. So I wonder whether if it's that advanced.
They were waiting for the advancement to catch up.
Yeah. That's the reason for the delay.
That's the same type of thing as Avatar and stuff, isn't it? Because we've now got the next Avatar announced for the end of this year.
I don't know.
Yeah, end of this year, December.
Avatar.
I think it's Christmas. Yeah.
I've still not seen number 2.
So haven't you?
No. I don't know. As
much as I like the Avatar movies, they are way too long for me, and I know they're not getting any shorter.
Like 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
I think so.
Last one was 3 hours and like 15 minutes or something.
See, and like Endgame and Infinity War are 3 hours and 15 minutes, but I've watched like 23 hours or 23 movies before that, so I'm like invested and I have to watch them. But Avatar, I've not seen the first one for about 10 years. So
no, I love Avatar.
Yeah, because that's the thing is Endgame is just Iron Man 22. Like, when you really think about it, we've gotten sequels every like year or two. There's never been a huge gap between them.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the thing, isn't it? But yeah, Avatar. Maybe I'll go back. Maybe I'll go back. Do you know what I tried to do? And Richard might not like the fact that we don't like this, but I tried to go back the other day and watch Andor again because the season 2's coming out. I couldn't get through it.
No,
found it really, really boring. Did you like Andor?
You know, I respect Andor for what it tried to do. I like that it like looked at a different side of the Star Wars universe. I gotta try it out again because like I know people who think that is one of the greatest things that's ever come out of like anything Star Wars, and I don't dislike it at all. Like, it's a good series, but I gotta try it. I gotta try it out again, especially before season 2.
Yeah. We just found it boring.
Yeah,
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was
like,
just
a little slow at times. Yeah,
I felt like it was there was too much politics and too much talking.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it was balanced out with the right amount of action.
No.
And so it was like there were entire episodes where barely anything happened. I know. And I was just struggling to get through it. And then remembering what was going on so that I could understand the next episode was becoming a problem for me.
It was complicated, wasn't it? It was heavy
for sure.
political stuff. But I think it relied on the fact that you kind of already know a lot of what's going on in the background anyway.
Yeah.
But I just think like,
and also you have an ending point too. Like once season 2 ends, you know exactly where Andor is headed to. Like you know the end of it. So I mean, I'm definitely curious to see what they do to fill in the gaps. But yeah,
100%. Yeah. Well, I don't see. We were talking about covering it on the show, even reluctantly covering it on the show, and then we realized Last of Us was coming out at the same time, and they're releasing 3 episodes a week with Andor series 2, and it's just like it's going to be released on a Wednesday morning our time, like Daredevil does, and we're already having to get up. I'm already having to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch Daredevil for a 45-minute episode. I'm not getting up at 2 to watch 3 Andors and trying to stay awake because I found it boring anyway. Beyond the Spider-Verse, though, we excited, or is not the novelty, but has it worn off the excitement because it's been such a gap, or are we just still hyped for?
I've got to admit, it's worn off for me.
Has it?
Yeah.
What about you, Richard?
You know, I mean, maybe a little bit just because of all the issues we've heard about from behind the scenes, but also when you think about it, there was 5 years between Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. This is actually going to end up being a shorter gap between 2 and 3 than there was between 1 and 2. Like, I always thought it was nuts that they were going to try to, push out 2 movies within a year with that level of animation and that level of work on it. I mean, obviously it's kind of a bummer that we still have to wait 2 years for it, but that's just because our expectations were set so unbelievably ridiculously high.
Yeah, I think the only thing for me is the fact that you were literally middle of the story when it ends.
Yeah.
I think that's why. If it had come to a bit of a cliffhanger, but the way films normally end when there's a cliffhanger, I'd be fine with that. But the fact that you felt like you were stopping in the middle of the action, but it was okay because the rest of the story was coming out in 9 months.
Yeah,
you could kind of get away with it.
Yeah,
so
the Infinity War endgame
waiting. Yeah. So I think now that wait has actually had to happen, I've gone. I'm not anticipating it anymore because the hype from that moment at the end of the movie is kind of gone for me.
Yeah, I mean,
so it might change if I was going to say it might change if I rewatch it, but at the minute I'm just kind of like he'll come out when it comes out.
As we see more, but it's going to be a while now till we see anything. As we see more, the hype will start to build up. And
I will say too, like the first 2 movies are 2 of the best superhero movies that we've gotten, especially in recent memory, if not ever.
Yeah.
So I trust that Sony's going to do a good job with it, and that's what has me still so hyped for it. But I do, it's going to be a long 2 years until it comes out.
100%.
It's the one Spider-Man thing that Sony's doing right, to be fair.
It is, and it feels weird hearing somebody say I trust Sony.
Yeah, right. Outside of the MCU, yeah, but that's all Marvel.
Not something that happens very often, but no, I do trust them with this
because I've still not got around to watching Craven.
No, I haven't done Craven yet.
I've not done it.
Well,
honestly, if you don't, it's not a loss.
No, that makes me want to watch it even more now.
Literally, my brother watched it for the first time, I think, within the last week, and either he didn't get through it or he thought it was just so bad. Like it just could not.
Hang on, Rich. Sorry, we've lost you. I think it's us.
Is it us?
It is us, but I don't know why it's us. The joys of live streaming.
We're good.
Yeah, you're good.
Don't know what happened. Don't know what's happening there, guys.
It's all good.
Live. We are live. It says we're live and we're uploading.
Okay.
Yeah, this is why we only live stream to a few of you, and hopefully we might have edited out all this stuff. To the
I am sure this has happened to every live streamer in the history of live streaming.
100%.
Probably.
100%.
Probably.
But new cables and everything. Right. Anyway, let's talk one other bit of news from this week before we get into Daredevil. So this is more of a rumor at the moment.
Yeah.
So and it's in relation to the Blade reboot, which apparently has now been cancelled. So the playlist Rodrigo Perez is saying that it's been cancelled altogether. He says pencils have been put down and active development has been shuttered, but apparently Mahershala Ali is still said to be going to be introduced in the MCU at some point.
Okay.
Just as like a supporting role.
Yeah.
What do we think, Richard? Do we believe it? Is it cancelled? Would you believe it's been cancelled?
It would really, really bum me out, but at the rate things are going, honestly, I would not be shocked. I mean, we have been talking about Blade for literally going on 6 years now.
Exactly.
Like, I remember they introduced this thing like at the end of the Infinity Saga, that this thing was going to be part of the multiverse saga, and it's just had one problem after another, after another. And like, I've been really excited about Blade because, like, I think at least the first couple of Blade movies, they're not amazing, but they're good. They were good enough to really like kickstart this whole modern superhero movie trend into them being really, really good with Wesley Snipes and everything. And seeing him in Deadpool and Wolverine again was a lot of fun. And I really want to see Mahershala Ali play this character. I mean, I think he could do an incredible job with it, given the right material and everything. But I mean, every new update we've got, nothing's been good for a while. I mean, I still have my fingers crossed. I'm still trying to be optimistic, but it's not looking good for Blade right now.
No. It's all the rewrites it's had, isn't it? And
I
think it's just had the same sort of problems that Marvel's had up to now with everything that's...
Do you reckon they'll just get cameos in Doomsday?
I don't know if we'll just get cameos in Doomsday. I think they'll probably try and use him somewhere. I don't think Doomsday or Secret Wars is necessarily the best place to introduce Mahershala Ali's.
I think this is where they'll just throw a load of stuff in, so we'll get our Hercules back.
Yeah, no, but I don't think it's the way to go. I really don't think.
Man, I'm still waiting to see Brett Goldstein again.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. There's so many loose ends that you're tying up. It looks like we are starting to tie up a few, obviously, with like the Kelsey Grammer coming back and all that sort of stuff. But I'm just
definitely.
I'm just not convinced.
It made me think actually about the symbiote that got left behind when Tom Hardy's Venom left the MCU again.
Yeah, but that got retconned apparently in Venom 3.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've not seen Venom 3 yet.
But it's been retconned, hasn't
it? They settled that. That was one of my biggest complaints about Venom 3 is they really did not handle that well. But I'll let you guys see it.
Oh God.
Okay. Yeah. Oh God. Okay. That sounds ominous. That Richard.
I know. Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. See, I still like my idea for Blade, the Blade movie. Do you remember what I said?
No.
So this is when we did Werewolf by Night.
Okay. Yeah.
And my pitch for the Blade movie was that you've got Blade, Sirius Blade, who has to lead a team of the MCU monsters, so Werewolf by Night, Man-Thing, anybody else you want to throw in there as well, against Dracula. And it's basically a team-up movie. Blade, not happy that he's having to work with all these monsters because he kills monsters, but to fight the big monster, he's got to team up with them. And I just think that would be something like that, rather than just a Blade movie.
Yeah.
If you just do a Blade movie,
I'm looking forward to see if they do Midnight Suns sometime. I think Midnight Suns would be really cool to see in the MCU, like him, and if they get Ghost Rider back or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I know they've just put teams together straight away with like Guardians of the Galaxy, but I think, and they're going to a degree do it with Thunderbolts, but even they're not doing it with Thunderbolts. They've introduced them all, haven't they? And that's Marvel's thing, and that's why Marvel have always done so well, because they've not just done a DC and just throw a load of characters together in one movie and just have an Avengers movie. Yeah. And I feel like you can't wait another 10 years for them to establish every character for the Midnight Suns and then throw them all together. And I know we've already got a couple of characters I suppose could go into it, but I feel like they just need to move a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
And they're already going to be establishing Fantastic Four, X-Men, the new MCU X-Men going forward. It's just where'd you do it? Do you know what I mean? It's too much potentially. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm not convinced it's ever going to happen. I'm still not convinced we're going to ever see Mahershala Ali in a Marvel movie, but yeah, see how it goes.
I still have a little bit of hope, but not much.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Before we move on to Daredevil, Richard, any big hero-related other things that we've missed at CinemaCon this week?
Nothing too much. They did a big presentation on Superman from DC the other day with James Gunn, and they had David Cornsweet, Rachel Brosnahan, and Nicholas Hoult all on stage and like talking about the movie and everything. I think they talked for a good 30-40 minutes about it. There wasn't a ton of new footage, but they did show like an extended version of that opening scene from the first trailer with him and Crypto in the snow. Apparently Crypto is just an absolute maniac. And I kind of love it.
I read it was a lot more comedic than it was in the trailer.
Yeah, for sure. Which, I mean, not surprised. I mean, it's a James Gunn movie. It's not going to have no comedy in it.
Yeah.
But I am very excited to see, what he does with Superman. I think this is the most excited I've been for a DC project in a while. And not like Gunn hasn't done well with the DC. Peacemaker is probably my favorite DC thing in a long time.
You love Peacemaker, don't you?
I love Peacemaker. It's so good.
No, I need to watch
it. And he's confirmed now that he is doing season 2, hasn't he?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yep. Yeah, season 2 is coming out this year in August.
Yeah, soon, yeah.
Oh, amazing.
They probably finished filming it at this stage.
Even better.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they confirmed it's coming out in August, so that's good.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it'll be well filmed.
You would hope. So excited.
No, I need to watch.
I wonder if they're going to do the same intro or whether they've done a new song.
Apparently, they've done a new intro.
Yeah, they're gonna do a new intro. I never ever skip the first intro for season 1.
It's the one program where I've watched it every single time all the way through.
You can't skip it.
No.
I mean, I've watched it. I think I've seen the Peacemaker intro more times than I've seen Peacemaker episodes. I've literally seen it on YouTube so many times. It's one of those things where if it pops
up,
it's
like probably
I've got
close for me too.
I've just got to sit through it.
I've considered learning the dance. I'm just putting it out there.
Do it. Next week on Heroes and Hype, Anthony's doing the Peacemaker dance. We've said it now. I've got to promise. But no, perfect. So let's get into Daredevil, episode 7. We've only got 2 episodes left. So far. Before we start sort of like breaking it down and talking through it, I get the idea. I've just realised this is what happens when you're live. I've not I've not got the Podfans Assemble votes, the percentages.
Oh.
But I've got the messages, so I'll pull them up. I'll pull them up a bit for you. But the general consensus, sort of like spoiling that to a degree, a lot of the Podfans Assemble messages that we've got are very positive.
Yeah.
But the general consensus on the poll was like very mixed.
Was it?
Yeah. We had a few people saying they really hated it, and it was probably like 50-50 then, or 40-40 between loved it and it was okay. Yeah. And I've seen a few people on social saying it's the worst episode of the season so far.
Really?
What are your thoughts generally on the episode before we start breaking it down? Did you enjoy it? Do you think it was the same caliber as the rest of the season's been?
I did enjoy it. I could probably see why other people may not have enjoyed it as much.
Right.
It took a turn, this episode.
Okay. In what way? Quality wise?
No, not in quality. I think it's the story.
Okay.
I think it's how things have developed. It may not be the way that people wanted it to.
I think the whole Muse thing was a bit abrupt.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Actually, I enjoyed
what happened. I've got no problem with it, but I can see why other people would. Does that make sense?
I get what you mean. Yeah. What do you think, Richard? Enjoy it?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of along that same route. Like it wasn't a bad episode. I mean, I think it's maybe one of the weaker ones of the season, but I've loved the season so far as a whole.
Yeah.
I could definitely see where people had some complaints about it, but there were some specific parts about this episode that were really, really good. Like they were really tense and scary, and there's some really good stuff in it. And I think too, just like overall with this first season, there's been so many issues like with the direction that they were originally going to take, where it was like a complete reboot from the Netflix stuff, and then when they decided to change it to make the Netflix stuff canon, you could definitely see where the changes were in that. Like episode 5, for example, the one with Kamala Khan's dad is a total standalone, and I bet that was from the old scripts and everything.
Exactly what we said last week, wasn't it? It just felt like a different show.
Yeah,
same show,
and it was great, and I love that episode. But no, and I gotta say, with how well they're doing mashing everything together from what they were gonna do and what they're doing now, it gets me that much more excited for season 2. Like now that they have everything fully under control and they have a direction that they're gonna go. Yeah, season 2 is probably gonna take this to a whole new level.
I think season 2. We've talked about this so far in this season, but this all still feels like setup still. This still feels like establishing the base of the story for bringing back Daredevil and bringing back Kingpin. Yeah. And even though we're right there now, we are right there with this episode, it's still that establishing thing. Yeah. And the fact that we've got rid of Muse so quickly, it just feels like it's all just basically getting pieces in place for whatever sort of war is going to happen in series 2. And I'm okay with that, because I've enjoyed watching it. I've enjoyed watching it build. I've enjoyed reading into things. Sometimes when we do this show, trying to sit there and get half an hour's worth of content out of even a 40-minute episode for something that's not really done much, it can be hard work. AKA Andor. But with this series, it's like there's so much that you can read into, and sometimes it's like I'm trying to pull back as to how far I'm reading into things. Things like the other week when we were saying Matt, when I think it was not last episode, the episode before, Matt was ascending up the stairs to become Daredevil again. Kingpin's descending down the stairs to become the Kingpin again. It's just little things like that you can read into, but I'm enjoying it. It doesn't feel tedious at any stage.
It all seems very purposeful, and that's what I'm enjoying about it. Yeah.
And again, considering this thing's been rewritten, reshot, for it to be this good a quality and this deep,
100%.
I think it's quite an achievement.
Yeah,
to be perfectly
definitely.
Honest. So there's a few things I want to talk to you guys about then. Breaking down major scenes and stuff like that as to what happened. We're not going to go through it in perfect order, but we'll start at the start. So we see literally pre the opening credits, Angela is alive, which obviously we knew she was going to be alive in the previous episode. She tells the cops that Daredevil saved her, and now Fisk knows he's back. He seems genuinely surprised.
I think he seemed genuinely surprised, and then I think it went very quickly to absolutely seething.
Oh yeah, he's
quick.
Absolutely livid. Do you think he believed Matt when Matt said I'm done? Is that what it is?
I think he did, but I think it's also because there'd been no stories of Daredevil for the past 12 months.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
It's a long time to have not been kind of out there. So I think the fact that he'd said it and he's already shown it by 12 months of absolutely nothing, he had no reason not to believe him.
No, I know what you mean.
So I think this has been quite a shock to the system.
And he's livid.
Yeah, he's so
absolutely fuming. It's like, again, we said it's been building up to Daredevil coming back.
Yeah.
And it's like everything we've seen so far in the first 6 episodes is basically adding fuel to him becoming Kingpin. And then finding out Matt's Daredevil again is like the match.
Yeah.
And it's like, right, he's off.
Yeah.
He's off now. This is him. We got the opening, and then sticking with this sort of part of the story, later we see him talking to Buck, his like right-hand man, about Daredevil's return. Buck's basically saying, don't worry about it. We've got a serial killer on the loose. We just, let him do it.
Yeah.
But Fisk is still completely bitter about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Can't let it go.
No.
Basically, he's just like he's basically just gonna go after Matt at this stage. He just can't let it go at all. What do you think? I mean, we've talked about it a little bit so far. Do you think, Richard, that he ever wanted to be like just the good mayor, or do you think it's all been a ploy all along?
I mean, I'm sure there's a part of him, like deep down in the psyche, that wanted to do this and really thinks he's like doing good for the city.
Yeah.
But that's what makes him such a complicated villain, is like there are parts of him that thinks that this is the right thing to do, but then he's also an absolute lunatic who will do literally anything to have power over people, to get what he wants. And like, and I gotta give, especially this episode, made me realize, look back on the rest of the season, it maybe gain a new level of respect for Vincent D'Onofrio's portrayal of him. Like, not like he hasn't been great this entire time, but this season you get this sense of just like at any moment he could burst and explode.
Oh yeah.
And like, and like in every episode, like I'm looking back to every episode and thinking like the entire time you could see him being like one wrong comment away from just tearing somebody's head off.
I feel like he was at his closest during the We Built This City.
Yeah.
That was the bit when he was at his closest.
Oh my
to
God.
best,
He was gonna murder something. I mean,
he was twitching at that point, wasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, like, coming from somebody who graduated from music school, look, I love those kids. That's how kids sound at that age. But yeah, that was rough. I could feel Kingpin's pain at that point. But yeah, I mean, just like his sense of just being ready to explode on anybody at any given moment. It was especially in this episode where you could just feel it in every scene with him. And I mean, it just continues to make what makes D'Onofrio's performance as Kingpin so good.
Yeah. 100%.
And when you think like it, we'll get to the very ending, but he's still like fully in control.
Yeah.
From what happened at the end, it's like that could have been the moment where he just completely lost it. And we've seen him lose it. We saw him lose it on Adam, like last episode or the episode before. But for him to still just be so calculated with what was happening at the end of the episode, which again we'll talk about in a second, he's got that element of control. Or I don't know whether he's just completely slipped into Kingpin, and it's like, right, this is calculated Kingpin rather than him losing it.
He's always managed to justify his actions, though. In his own head.
Yeah.
Not in a way that we would necessarily understand, but in his own head, everything that he does is justified.
Yeah.
And I think that's how he talks himself into it.
Into saying that this is 100%. Okay to do.
Yeah.
No. It's good. He's so good, D'Onofrio.
He is.
Something else I want to talk about, and again, we'll do it in bits, is Heather. So, is Heather getting on to the fact that Matt's Daredevil?
I think she is.
And when will it happen? So we started off at the episode with the shower scene, which we've seen in the trailers so many times. The shower little clips of the shower scene. There was obviously bruises and blood, and then the next morning she's asking him questions about it. He does a fairly decent job, to be fair, of sort of like fobbing her off, as to saying like,
it's embarrassing. Like,
don't worry about it.
About as well as you can, considering what he does at night.
Exactly. Yeah. But believable still at the end of the day. He's like, I'm blind, I bump into things. It's like, oh, yeah.
He does have that built-in excuse. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I like the way he did. Like, I don't want it to be a weakness or a vulnerability, so stop asking me about it. I'm embarrassed. Leave it.
Yeah.
I kind of like that because it
and he's gonna have to be good at it.
Yeah,
She's a therapist at the end of the day. She's there to be able to
analyze
to people exactly. And then after the whole Muse incident, which again we'll talk about in a second, she's saying, "I thought Daredevil said my name."
Yeah.
And one thing I noticed during the Muse fight, which again we'll come back to, they seem to make a point of Matt as Daredevil getting like slashed in the leg during his fight against Muse.
I'm waiting for it to see the same slash.
That's what I thought. Yeah. That's what I thought. So I'm assuming that's going to be what's going to confirm the suspicions. Do you think she's onto him, Richard, or?
I think she knows that at least something's up. She knows for sure that there is something that he's not telling her. Yeah. I could maybe see her, being onto the fact that he might be Daredevil, especially like at the end when they're in the hospital together. I think she's really starting to like put things together because I mean she's proven that she is a smart lady and she knows how to get inside people's heads a lot. And not to mention on top of that, she's worked with the Kingpin and his wife, and she has to know something about him. So I'm sure it's only a matter of time before she, puts the pieces together and figures this whole thing out.
Yeah, I think if she finds out, it'll change their dynamic in the sense of he will want to ask her about what's going on with Kingpin and stuff. I think he will find out. No, I think he'll find out that that's who she's doing therapy with.
Yeah,
and I think he'll want to try and get her to find things out.
Yeah,
and she'll go through that dilemma of, it's patient confidentiality type of thing, and she doesn't want to break that because it's morally wrong, and I think that could become a dynamic in their relationship that makes things quite tough for them, and I think that's something they could play on in season 2.
And I wonder if some point while she's doing the therapy sessions with the Fisks, she'll let slip that her boyfriend's a lawyer. And Fisk will put 2 and 2 together. Yeah, and he'll know. So they'll again. She won't have any clue that he would know
things and stuff like that.
Some sort of crossover there. There's so much potential for it.
Yeah, that's so much manipulation to it.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
So well placed, all the little bits as we've gone. There's some not so well placed things in the next bit we'll talk about, but the big part of the episode was the whole Muse.
Yeah.
The wrap up, Daredevil versus Muse round 2, basically.
Yeah.
So we met Bastian Cooper, I think his name is, for the first time since episode 2.
Yeah.
I want to say.
I talk about the one thing that really took me out of it.
Right, go on. I think you're going to say the same thing that I'm going to say. Go on.
The picture.
What picture? The picture of her?
Yeah.
Yeah, a few things took me out of it here. This is where I don't... We've just said it's so well put together.
I knew it was hair. No, I'm sorry.
No, I was the same.
I'm sorry.
I was the same.
Not.
It took me out of it.
No chance.
Well. No, Powell has like facial recognition software and picked up the fact it was Heather. That's absolutely fine. But Matt just doing the touching of the face, it pulled me straight back to Ben Affleck with the rain, which was like, I don't like that.
Yeah, no.
That's at least it didn't do a park fight. We're all right. But yeah, it took me out of it.
Yeah, a couple of acrylic bumps made him go, that's Heather. It just did not work for me. That's the only thing where I went, oh, really?
No, there was another thing that got me.
Oh, was there?
The other thing that got me, which again just felt like it was shoehorned in to give some sort of explanation, that Bastian was a Taekwondo champion.
Oh, okay.
Because it's just like, we've got to explain why this dude can hold his own against Daredevil. Let's just make it so that he was a Taekwondo champion when he was 16 or something along those lines.
Yeah.
It just felt...
Yeah, I could kind of see that.
It just felt a little bit...
I didn't mind that too much because it did just explain why.
I know, but it was just too... By the way, he's a Taekwondo champion.
Well, to me, the way I took it was that his dad was pushing him to do whatever.
No, yeah, that's what it was. That's what it's supposed to be.
And one of those things was the Taekwondo, and that was actually something that he excelled in.
No, I know, but it was just the fact that everything, like we said, everything in this series so far has been so well drip-fed and, clues, little breadcrumbs all the way through.
Yeah.
And then it was just
Fair enough,
now he's a Taekwondo champion and Matt can feel pictures of people from the bumps in the acrylic paint. It was just like, no, it took me out a little bit. It's different as well to his abilities in the comics. We talked about this, didn't I? And I said I didn't want to ruin it in case we went there.
Yeah.
Do you know about Muse from the comics, Richard? I know we said you don't really read the comics like we don't, but do you know much about him?
A little bit. I've heard a little bit here and there, like what we've seen in the show so far, and then obviously that he's just a brutal, scary dude. in the comics, with the blood and the violence and everything. I mean, he's nothing to trifle with.
No, 100%, yeah. But the other thing about him in the comics is he's inhuman in the comics. So he got his powers from the Terrigen.
Okay.
He got his powers from the Terrigen Mists in the comics. So I've read. I might be completely wrong, but yeah, that's what I've read. So
I'm gonna have to look at that. That'd be really interesting if he's inhuman.
And his power's not Taekwondo. That's not his Terrigen Mist power. His power is that he can absorb sensory powers. So all Matt's senses, he can absorb those powers so that Matt can't fight him as Daredevil because he can't see him or hear him or anything like that.
Okay.
That's his power, which is why he's a Daredevil villain.
Yeah, I know he's got something like that. It's something really close to that, at least.
Yeah. So, and again, as much as I've enjoyed Muse, and I know it's over now because spoilers, he's dead. But such a well constructed villain from the comics that fits so perfectly well with Daredevil.
Yeah.
And to have him not have those powers.
Yeah.
And also him just to be gone like that.
Yeah.
Feels like a little bit of a waste.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, I get you.
What did you, Richard? What do you think of Muse just as a baddie from what we've seen so far? Is it too short lived, or has it done its job?
I mean, it was definitely a little short lived. I definitely would have liked to see him go through more of the season, but that's honestly how I felt about a lot of Marvel villains. You know, like Black Panther comes to mind with Claw. That one still gets me really mad that they killed him off so early.
Yeah.
But I mean, I thought they did a great job with what we got from him. I mean, the actor who played him, Hunter Doohan, it was perfect for the role. And and it's really funny too, because as soon as he came on screen, because we didn't know who Muse was for a while, who was even playing him. As soon as he came on screen, I was like, are they doing the guy from Wednesday as as Muse? Is that what they're gonna do? But I didn't mind it at all. He did a great job with it.
Yeah.
He was perfectly scary, and I mean, I think there's some things that maybe could have done a little bit differently, and of course they could have expanded him out a little more. I would have loved to see him go to the end of the season, but I did enjoy what we got from him. I mean, as little as it was.
Yeah, he's done it's done the job. I'm not 100% sure on what the job is. The character's done yet because we've not got to the end of the series. But I feel like they've brought him in to.
I think he's been there essentially to justify the return to Daredevil.
Yeah.
Because all he said so far is 60 people, the police are failing. It's all reasons to come back as Daredevil.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's done it. And I also feel like the actual scene, I feel like, although I wasn't sure how I felt about it, I understood.
What, you mean the fight?
Yeah.
I loved it.
I love the fight. Do not get me wrong, I love the fight. I was shocked when he got shot 3 times and it's Heather stood there with the gun.
Yeah.
Because I was like, hang on. But then instantly my head went, he'd have killed him.
Who?
Daredevil would have killed him.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely would have killed him.
Yeah.
And I feel like that stopped him. And I think she's kind of saved him in a way from
going
too far.
No, I get that.
So I think that falls as part of his story in coming back to Daredevil, but not kind of stepping that boundary line.
Yeah.
She stopped him from doing that because she did it in his place.
Yeah.
So I kind of get it, but I didn't know how I felt about it in the moment as it happened. I was quite like, oh my God, because even just the hook coming through his chest, that was brilliant.
It was brutal.
It was really brutal.
Yeah.
But it was very, very good.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was over.
I know, but it was so well done. It was like I think again first second episode, whatever it was, when they were trying to get the witness to court for Hector. I was like on edge the entire time.
Yeah.
And I was with this as well. I was like, because I was convinced she was going to die. I'm still not convinced she's going to make this end of the season, but I was 100% convinced she was going to die. I thought
I was definitely worried.
This is it. Yeah, I thought this is the final push for Matt to potentially lose it, and maybe because again I won't say exactly what it is, but we've seen leaked footage, leaked pictures from the next season.
Okay,
and I could see him going down a dark path with what we've seen for the pictures for the next season.
Yeah,
so I thought this could be one of the things that sort of pushes him down that way. But the whole fight was it was so intense. It was great.
Well, the other thing is, and I might be jumping a little bit here,
Go on.
We've been talking all the way through this season about how Fisk and Vanessa are.
Oh, can we do that at the end?
Can we
do that at the end? Can we do that? That's my last bit. I mean, I can't wait to talk about that, but we'll get there really
I'm
quick.
excited about that.
We'll get really quickly. So many ways you can read it. But yeah, the fight was great. Daredevil obviously beat it, or Heather beat him. To be fair. And then we've got the task force come in, who basically say to Fisk, it wasn't us. It was Daredevil. And Fisk's just like, no, it wasn't.
But what if it was?
What if it wasn't? Exactly. So what do we think he's trying to do? I mean, he's not making Daredevil out to be a bad guy.
Erase the vigilantism aspect. Well, all it's going to do is lift up vigilantes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because he's got the series. He's done what the police force couldn't do. And this is what Fisk is fighting against. He's saying, let our police force do this.
Yeah.
And then the biggest serial killer that they've had in a long time gets beaten by the vigilante without the help of the police. Who were floundering anyway, because it was janitors, essentially, as they put it, that first found out that sanitation people, they said.
It was,
Sanitation that first found out that there was a serial killer.
Yeah.
So it was making them look more and more stupid. So this was just purely a political move to pull that back a little bit.
Yeah,
I get it. I get why they did that.
No, I get that.
And I think also he's just trying to protect himself from, you know, if he did it himself, there's no way that people are going to see that as any kind of good, because he's going to go nuts and he's going to do the Kingpin thing. And he can't have anybody see people see the mayor of New York, you know, going that nuts. So it's definitely a political move trying to save his own ass.
Yeah. And that's sort of highlighted by the fact that Daniel then brings BB into the office.
Yeah.
And pretty much threatens her and says, you're not going to write, it's Daredevil, but we're not going to write it's Daredevil, or we were going to write the story that it was the task force.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure what's going on with that dude.
No.
I think I'm starting to lean more into the fact that he's just a Fisk super fan.
Yeah.
Who just wants to be part of the entourage.
Basically.
What's your thoughts on Daniel, Richard?
I mean, there was a lot I thought about him, you know, what I thought he could be before the series. But yeah, he just seems like a major Fisk fanboy right now. I'm curious to see if he evolves into something more than that over the next couple episodes and going into next season. Like maybe Fisk could like appoint him to do some of his shadier stuff behind the scenes. I could see maybe something like that happening. But yeah, right now he just seems like he's on the major fanboy status. But I mean, a good character, but you know, curious to see where he goes.
Yeah,
Michael Gandolfini's fantastic. I wonder whether before the end of this series, when Fisk eventually descends into full-on Kingpin, probably still the mayor, but full-on Kingpin, Daniel's going to be something along the lines of, look what I've done, I've helped you get here, I've done all this, I'll do anything for you. And he's going to do something like murder BB or something like that. And Fisk's just going to go, no, I don't, you're not with me. I'm just going to drop you. And then Daniel's then maybe going to spend series 2 not on Daredevil's side, obviously, but still trying to go against Fisk.
There's
going to be another
really cool.
bad from that perspective.
Yeah, I'd like that. That's quite
good. Right, let's talk about Vanessa. So we see like a very brief clip. So much to talk about. We see a very brief clip of her meeting with Luca from the Tracksuit Mafia.
Yeah.
He's basically saying he's not happy with how Fisk's running things and how it was much better when Vanessa was running things.
Yeah.
And then she basically defends him and is like, he's not, it is what it is. He's the mayor now, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then we leave it. And then at the very...
she also turned around to him and said that the whole him owing the extra $1 million and all of that kind of stuff, she said that was me.
Oh, yeah, she says
she didn't
that,
say it was Fisk.
Yeah.
She's
sort
like,
of to still say I'm still running the show.
Yeah.
You might technically be running it, but I'm still running it.
Yeah.
And then jump to the end. We see Vanessa text Luca an address.
Yeah.
He goes to this address, which is a little restaurant by the looks of it, and basically just goes to assassinate Fisk.
Yeah.
And then just before he can shoot him, I don't even know if he gets his gun up. Buck in the shadows shoots him and kills him.
Yeah.
And then Fisk says to him, thanks, Buck, basically. Can you do me a favour? And pretty much, for want of a better word, can you contact Vanessa and ask her what she wants for dinner?
Yeah.
How are we reading this? Richard, how are you reading this? What's happened?
I mean, Vanessa's always been super shady in her own right. Like this, honestly, it doesn't really surprise me much considering what we saw from her in the first 3 seasons. Like, even as evil as Kingpin is, and like as much as she goes along with him and tries to help him out with his own thing, we even saw at the beginning of this series, like you said, that she was really running things while he was gone and while he was away from New York and everything. I'm curious to see what their relationship looks like moving forward, because this could be like, they could turn into something like this could be a big fight between them. And like, especially on the back of this whole, like them going to therapy to try to, rekindle their marriage and everything. That would be a pretty crazy twist for the end of the season to take, especially going into season 2 where, Fisk is still the mayor of New York. No, I can't wait to see what happens with them, because she's shady and scary in her own right.
Yeah, no, completely. Yeah, she's so it could be either way. So the director's come out today. Can't remember the director's name, but the director of the episode or the season's come out today and said that they've specifically left it open to interpretation as to what that scene was.
Yeah,
because when I watched it, I read it as she sent. You might think differently, you two. She sent Luca to kill Fisk.
Yeah.
And Fisk is on to the fact that he's done it.
Yeah.
And he's just trying to play it cool by saying, can you ask her what she wants for dinner? But kind of like, I know what's happened and I'm not cool with it, but I'm in control sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then other people are reading it as she set Luca up.
That's how I read it.
There to be murdered.
Yeah.
And that's how I read it online. And I was like, no, that's not how I read it. And then I read the article with the director and I was like, he's like, you're not supposed to know what's going on.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be for you to find out in the next episode.
Can I tell you what I think is going to happen?
Yeah, go on.
So this is my new theory.
Okay.
I think Vanessa's going to kill Heather.
Okay.
And then I think Daredevil's going to kill Vanessa.
Do you?
In a blind rage. Oh.
Hey,
sorry about that.
That would be something.
But the reason that I say this is Vanessa killing Heather gives Daredevil reason to kill Vanessa.
Yeah.
It pushes him into new territory, which we think we may get from the teaser photos we've seen from season 2. But I think that would then send Fisk into a whole new level.
Yeah,
as King.
Well, and then it could mirror like how it started the season with them killing Foggy and his whole thing with Bullseye. I mean, he came as close as he ever came to killing anybody with what he did to Bullseye. And starting off the season like that and then ending the season the same way.
Yeah,
I mean, what a first full circle moment that could be.
Well, it'd be brilliant, and I think it could even end in a cafe again.
Well, with them two sitting in the
cafe. Them sitting there and then basically saying, "When I get my moment, I'm going to rip your throat out." I think it's going to be like that tense type of moment. And I think that might be how they end the season.
But then I also wonder if that happens. I do really like that. But I also wonder, because something we'd originally said was, is Fisk going to basically play the martyr to come across as a better mayor?
Yeah.
So is he going to either say, well, it wasn't Daredevil, it was my task force who killed my wife, but that's because she was the kingpin of crime, and it's one of those things, and now he comes across as a martyr? Or is it going to be, poor me, my wife's been murdered by
a vigilante?
By Daredevil, I think either way it goes.
I told you this was going to be a problem, and now look what's happened.
Yeah. And my wife's now died.
Yeah.
I need to get rid of, I've first-hand experience as to how bad
I've got more motivation than anyone else, so keep me in and I'll make sure this happens kind of thing.
Yeah. There's so much.
It could go so many ways, and
so
that's what I'm really enjoying about this, though.
Yeah.
Like the fact that there are so many avenues that it could go down, and I'm so intrigued as to where it's going to go.
Yeah, me too. I'm really enjoying it. I get people thinking it was maybe a weaker episode.
Yeah,
but I think if it's,
I like the subtleness and the story behind it, though. So it's made me not mind the fact that it's. Maybe not been quite as paced as the other episodes and things.
But then you say not as paced, it's still been quite fast. We've got rid of, we've got rid of Muse so quickly, and he's gone, and it's done already basically. So it's still been quite fast.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So let me just pull up. I have got here somewhere, I assume, the pod fans assemble. But I'm sorry, guys, I'm not prepared for it at all.
Hey, you're good.
Let me just find it. I've got a couple of messages. Should I just read them out? Anton?
Yeah.
So we've got two people for Pod Fans Assemble this week. We've got Punch Made Tracks on Threads. Literally, we tried not to swear in this. Literally just said fucking amazing. Straight to the point.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And then we've got one of our patrons, Kenneth, again making me swear. He's basically put, well, that's one fucked up marriage. Daredevil kicked arse, and Fisk is once again for me the full kingpin, even as mayor. These final episodes of season 1 of Born Again are going to be incredible. They're building up to something epic. I think 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
So general love on the pod fans. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it. Excited for episode 8.
Yeah.
Does it feel like it's gone quick, but
it has gone quick.
I still have no idea where it's going, and I think that's probably the best part of it, isn't it? It's just complete guesswork. So
Yeah.
I like the fact that we can just go into it not knowing, full surprises. Yeah. And it lets us theorize as well, which is
exactly
why we do the show, isn't it?
Yeah.
At the end of the day. Fantastic. So that's us then, guys, for Podfans Assemble. That's us for the Daredevil review as well. As always, if you've watched the video or if you're listening on podcast platforms as well, make sure you like and subscribe.
Yeah.
We've got the Patreon episode is out for this month already.
Yeah.
We've done a bad movie review of the 2003 Daredevil, which was an effort.
It was an effort
to sit through that.
It's so 2003.
Is exactly. You just summed it up. Literally took us 40 minutes to do the episode, but you just summed it up perfectly, Richard.
All I'll say is the playground scene killed me.
The scene was just horrendous.
Yeah,
but it was also fantastic.
There's a good movie buried in there somewhere.
I said this, and he's not convinced.
Yeah.
It was really, really well hidden.
Yeah, I will say this: I love Jon Favreau as Foggy, mostly just because he's all happy and foggy. And I gotta say this too: if Michael Clark Duncan was still alive, I bet he would have done incredible stuff as like a modern Kingpin, because he was actually incredible. Like
we said that he was brilliant.
Him and Vincent D'Onofrio, I put on the same level in terms of them playing Kingpin. They're different, really, but they're both so good.
Yeah.
He was
definitely.
He was really good. So I said I didn't enjoy watching it, but I enjoyed talking about it to a degree. If you want to check that out, there's a link to the Patreon in the description. Next month, we are finally getting around to it. We are going to do a commentary. We're going to do not a live commentary, but we're going to do a commentary of Madam Web. We've still not seen it.
Good luck.
We've saved it. Yeah, exactly. I've heard.
Yeah.
If you want to get involved, again, there's a link in the description. Support the show. And you can get on there and get the extra content. Richard, before we let you go, do you want to let everybody know where you are on socials and everything like that?
Yeah, you can find me at Richard Nebens on pretty much all the socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok and everything. You can find me writing for the Direct all the time. And what's cool is, speaking of your guys' Patreon stuff, one cool thing from my site is my guys over at the Direct podcast, which is our podcast officially for the site. They just started their own Patreon account, which opened up just a couple of days ago. Very well priced, and there's a bunch of extra content on there that you don't get from the normal podcast and the normal videos that we put on YouTube. So everybody out there, I highly recommend it. I'm already a part of it. You can find me there. That's just the Direct podcast on Patreon. And you can just find me writing all the time, keeping up with all the news, and again, thank you guys for having me. Every time we've done this, it's been so fun.
Yeah,
and looking forward to next time.
Yeah, well, definitely we'll get you back on. Yeah, we'll hopefully without the technical difficulties and a bit more organisation, but
it'll get better from here.
We'll get there. We'll get there. All right, cheers, guys. Right, well, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers, guys.
See you later.
Bye.